Hello everyone, Don here again with the next update on my 83 Mustang Restoration project. My last video you seen that I had gotten the frame all mounted onto the rotisserie, as you can see here. I've gone ahead and since then removed the rest of the components out of the car, pulled the whole rear end out of it, finished stripping at the interior, got all that stripped down so there's nothing left inside the car. The inside of the car I finished removing all the sound deadening tar paper, you could call it. The only thing I haven't removed yet is the quarter glasses in this trim. So basically these will come out eventually too. I've got the rear end in all cleaned out. So what I've been doing now, excuse the voice, I've been out here hammering away, chipping out all the undercoating, and allergies last night flared up, so a little hoarse today. So anyway, you can see I got the whole rear end out. What I want to do is show you the operation of this rotisserie. I went ahead and I ended up getting it balanced. I originally had this mounted up here, but I wasn't able to lift it high enough to get the center of gravity here. So right now the center of gravity on this car, as you can see, is just a little above center line of this tunnel here. So we're kind of somewhere in this area is the center line, which is pretty close to about where the camshaft is on the motor. So what I want to do is, this is the adjustment point. I've been using just a ratchet with a socket on it, but for this demonstration I got me a speed handle here to show you so it's quicker rolling. It rolls fairly quick as it is. All right, I'm going to set this camera down right here, get her lined up on the car. Make sure I can see it. Okay. So I have my speed handle. This is a spring-loaded plunger here. You got to push in on it, and it's just a matter of rotating it. It doesn't take a whole lot of force. It takes a few pounds of force. But I can literally, it's about pretty good right now. Not too top heavy. Bottom heavy right there. Can't seem to find an actual exact point, but it's close enough. Back to where we started from. Now I'm going to go ahead and roll it up on its side and show you what I've been up to. The nice thing with this setup is you can literally stop anywhere you want. So again, I usually just use the ratchet, put it on there and roll it left or right. Alright, so I've been slowly chipping away on the undercoating. As you can see, I got this whole bottom side stripped clean compared to the top, or the other, basically driver's side, passenger side. This is passenger side. This is all undercoating, all the way down in, all the way, and then through here. So I've got this pretty much stripped from here down. So all this has got to come out. All this. Now the stuff in the fender wells is something completely different. That is not your basic undercoat. That's some kind of factory installed sound deadening, more than likely. But it's got to come out. That's probably going to take some heat, torch, heat gun or something, and scrape with some putty knives. As you can see, this is all cleaned out. I started back here and smacking on it with a hammer, and some of it chips up good. And then I scrape it with a little gasket scraper. I'm not seeing it. Here it is. This is this old gasket scraper. Scrape on it. This is where the gas tank was, so the center section wasn't anything. You can still see some left up here where they had to spray around the tank. So I started on this first and scraped on it for like an hour one day. I was like, that's going to take too long. So I said, I need to find a faster way. And my initial thoughts was, at work we have a shop that takes care of all our vehicles, equipment. And they have what's called a scaler. It's an air-operated impact. We call it needle gun or whatever. And that's essentially what this is here. It's a pneumatic air needle scaler. This originally was designed, I believe, for stick welding. When you get done welding with a stick, it always leaves a flux coating, and you have to go back with a chip hammer and knock off all the flux. So that's what these things I think were originally intended for. Now they actually say they're good for surface preparation work involving cleaning and removal of paint, rust, dirt, or weld slag. 12 hardened needles, carbon steel construction. So this is, as you can tell, it's Harbor Freight piece. This was $30. This was the cheapest one they made, the smallest one. And then they have another one for $60 and another one for $80. And it's a lot bigger. This tells you to operate it at about 90 psi, and there's the requirements for the compressor. I've got, of course, a 60-gallon upright that does like 11 CFM. So it's more than enough. But running this at 90 psi is way too much pressure for this sheet metal. It will literally bang dents into this thing. It'll cave it right in like a ball peen hammer will. So what I did is I backed her down. Initially just started at 80, and that was still too high. Backed her down to 70. It was better, but it was still a little high. And then I finally ended up dropping her right down to 60, and that was better. So now I'm between 50 and 60. The lower you can set it, the better, as long as it still does what needs to be done. So let me see if I can find you a spot here and show you how this thing works. This thing is like magic. You can go in like this, is mainly how it's used for descaling. You can see the rust here. I've already rattled some of that. These pieces aren't going to be done because these are all getting cut out, these torque boxes. I've got aftermarket torque boxes to put in there. But this is probably going to be a little loud. See if I can do this with one hand. And you can see how easy this thing chips off. I hate these safety triggers. Alright, here we go. Some of this stuff flakes off real easy when you find the right spots. Basically where it's the thinnest is where it likes to come off the easiest. This here is working. It's easier to work with two hands, but you can see it literally flakes it. And then if that gets a little hard to go off, then you can come in like this. This is getting loud. That's okay, that's getting up into where it's lighter stuff. Again, this safety trigger on these things, you gotta flip that little ear on it. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. Let me get it set up here. Get my finger on it. Alright, we'll try again here. And that's the deal. So, now this stuff here, granted, car's about 38 years old, and this stuff is fairly dried out. Now the only problem areas that I'm really running into is right in this area where the transmission is. Right where the drive shaft comes out, they tend to sling oil after a while and they start leaking. It gets kind of gummy, and it kind of keeps this stuff pretty much reconstituted as undercoating. So you end up making, you can see all these little scrape marks in there. That's again from using it like this. The way you're kind of flat, and you can sit here and work it like a chisel, and it will work through it, pull it off. But then I'll have to come back with some kind of petroleum-based product and strip this all out. So even on the heaviest stick of stuff, like this thing here is completely packed all the way around here with some seam seal. And it peels it clean out of there. You know, it gets right into the cracks and nooks and crannies, cleans it out. Now it does tend to leave, if you're doing it, it'll leave light scratches, and sometimes there's little pecker marks, you'd call it. And then here you can see where it was real gummy. And that stuff's hard to get off, but the rest of this will eventually come off with some petroleum-based product. So this whole side, all the way from the front to the rear, minus a little bit of work I'd already started on back here, I spent almost 3 hours on it, and that's considerably faster than sitting there with a scraper putty knife. Because a lot of this stuff, like in this area, it just blows right off. It's only when you get into some of this heavier stuff where some oil, engine oil, and training fluid gets to it, that it stays a little soft. So, alright, I just wanted to make this quick video to show you what I'm doing and how this thing actually works. Now, like here, I can see this is really chipped up stuff. A little easier to do it with two hands, but you can see how easy that stuff just pops right off there. And anything, when you get into real thick stuff, you just come in at it like this and it peels it right off. So, does a nice job. All this around here. So, that's, so if nobody's ever heard of these things or tried to use them for this, now you know it works really well for this. Let's see what it does here real quick. It's way faster than hand scraping. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I just wanted to kind of show you the rotisserie operation and let you see how I'm stripping this thing off. I'll have this finished out today. I'm not going to go ahead and add it into this, but I did pull out all the fuel lines, brake lines, and threw all that stuff away, parking brake cables. So this is pretty much down the street. The first thing I want to do is get this completely cleaned off. Then I'll start patching. As you can see, this undercoat was hiding this damage. So I'm going to have to cut in here and replace a piece of tin on the inside. So this, maybe a little bit on this. So I've got that to deal with. And these were the original two holes. That one there and that one there. So then also, again, this undercoating hides little stuff like this too. So a little patch in here. Patch these back here. And then in the tank, trunk, I don't know if this was originally a small drain hole. They're in perfect spots, but that's right where there's a kind of an embossed area right here raised on the inside, and the spare tire rim actually sets on top of there, and I think that's right where it was metal contact. So I'll just weld them shut and clean it up. So, alright folks, that's going to do it for this video. Sorry I didn't put one out over the weekend, over the holiday. Starting Thursday, it started snowing here. I'm right up by Lake Erie, and they were calling for 12 to 18 inches of snow. So Christmas Eve all day, it snowed all day, non-stop. It was just a light, steady snow, no blowing winds, no blizzard conditions. It just snowed all night, all day Thursday, Christmas Eve, all day Friday, Christmas Day, right through Christmas night, and it didn't finally end until Saturday morning. When it was all said and done, we had at least 18 inches level without snow drifts, and the drifts were over 3 feet tall, but we were completely snowed in. Luckily, a friend of mine comes by and plows out, and this is what's left. Today it's going to be in the mid-40s, but that whole driveway in front of the car, the snow was up over the nose of the car. It was that deep. And then the roof, there was over 18 inches on the roof, the whole cover of the car. So, alright, that's going to do it for this week's update. I'll try to get another one out coming Sunday when I get a little farther on this project. Right now, like I say, it's nice out, so it's been pretty good in here. I need to get some more fuel for the heater. I've been going through about $10 a week on that thing, which isn't too awful bad. So, alright folks, appreciate everyone taking the time to watch these videos. As always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns. And we'll get back to you guys on the next video. Alright, we'll see you then. This is Dino Don out.